find the value of x. So you're supposed to infer here that because these lengths are congruent, because the angles are congruent, because this other thing is congruent, these triangles are congruent, which means that the angles are congruent. It is very, very reasonable at this point in the course to assume things like this equals this. It is so reasonable, and you should do that. You shouldn't be afraid to do that. It's your final. They're not testing like really specific knowledge. They're testing general knowledge. So in this problem, you have to set 2x plus 24 equal to 30. Could you try solving that for us, please?
Yeah. 2x plus 24 equals 30. First thing I want to do is subtract 24 from both sides, which gives me 2x equals 6. Divide them both by 2, gives me x equals 3.
X
So-
equals 3.
So B would be the answer.
There you go. Good. So here's another problem like that.
So this one I would do n plus 8 equals 3n minus 4. I would add 8 to both sides first. So
Hang on a second.
that-
I heard something until that. It's if you have positive 8, you undo it by subtracting 8.
subtract. Oh, I was gonna. So would I also just subtract by 4 again, or subtract
Well-
because you have to do it both sides?
Yeah, you have to get the numbers on one side and the variables on one side. So I'm going to suggest you subtract 3n from both sides first.
Subtract 3n.
That gives you minus 2n plus 8 equals negative 4.
And then I wanted to, if I wanted to get,
You got to look at the side with the variable, the side with the variable. So in this case, you've got minus 2 multiplying n and positive 8 adding. You undo addition and subtraction before multiplication and division.
all right, so would I add? I would add 2 to both sides, or
Your addition and
add 8?
subtraction is the 8. Yes.
so I'd add 8 to both sides, which 8 plus negative 4 is 4. So that'd give me negative 2n plus 16 equals 4. And then I would subtract 4 from both sides.
No. Once you subtract 8, minus 2n equals minus 12.
Oh,
You're
I'm
almost
sorry.
there.
I thought you said add them. So I added. There we go. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Minus 8. So that gives me negative 2 equals negative 12. And then if I divide them by 2,
Yes, negative 2.
Negative 2, sorry. It would go to n equals 6.
Good. Now, that's not the answer, though. That's the value of n. You want to find f to g.
So f to g would be. So I would just implement it back into it. So that'd be
Exactly.
3. Oh, it'd be 3 times 6 minus 4 is 14. So f to g would be 14.
Yes, very good. Okay. Here's another problem. This will be kind of our last solving one for a while, but good to do here. Rebuild some of those fundamental algebra skills here. All right, so it says find the values of the variables and the lengths of the sides. This is a kite, not that that really matters, but the congruences are important. The fact that these two are congruent is really important because you can set them equal and solve for x.
So I would do 2x plus 2 equals x plus 11.
Yeah, try solving that. It's kind of like the last one, just a little bit easier because there's.
So first thing I want to do is minus 2 from both sides, which gives me
Good.
2x equals x plus 9. And then I would want to I would minus. Would I subtract
move-
x?
Yes,
Or would I?
exactly. Yep.
All right, so subtract x from both sides, which gives me 2 equals 9. Or yeah.
Well, you're subtracting x. The
Oh,
x's don't go away. It's like 2x minus 1x. There's 1x remaining.
gotcha. So
Equals
to go
9.
to 1x
Yeah.
equals 9, and then I just divide it by 1. So that just gives me x equals 9.
Yes. And notice that B and D are out. And you should kind of use the multiple choice answers to help you. Okay. Now that's not enough because we got to find y, right? And the
Yeah.
sides, but let's find y next. So the next equations to set equal are this y minus 2 equals x plus 2. Y minus 2 equals x plus 2. And you might say, well, I can't solve that. I don't know any of the information, right? I don't know x. Well, wait, you just found x, right? You have x from this part of the problem here.
So I would do, so it'd be y minus 2 equals 9 plus 2.
Yes.
So then I would, so that's a negative. I would have to add 2 first, which gives me y plus 2 equals 9 plus 2, right?
So
And then I
you
would,
like this. So how do you solve that from there? You have to undo subtraction by 2.
oh, give me 1 second. Y 2 equals 11. I would add 2 to both.
Yes.
So then that would be y equals 13. All right, and then so that would mean, okay, so doesn't really cross anything out from,
Right. They're both 13. So now this problem is also asking for the side lengths. So the side lengths come from putting those values in.
oh,
So like x, this up here is
11.
9 plus 2 or 11. And you can tell that that's the answer. And then 9 plus 11 gives you 20.
1. All right.
Okay, so let's do some angle measure problems here. Again, just kind of general knowledge here. Do you remember what the 3 angles in a triangle add up to?
They add up to, is it 180?
Yes, the sum is 180.
So if I have 42 and 84, I could just 42 plus 84 gives me 126. If I just subtract it by 180, so the missing angle would be 54 in this case. So y, big Y would be 54, correct? If
Okay,
I was looking.
that sounds right. So they get more complicated from here, but that's totally doable. Let me give you a new problem here. All right, so I want you to find angle X, and it's not 90, and then angle Y for me, please.
All right, so angle X would be 86.
Okay.
And then Z would be would be 37.
Good. Okay, so a couple of review things. If you have a straight line and something cuts it, like let's say that's 60 degrees, and this is unknown, X plus 60 has to equal 180. So a straight line is always 180, 80 degrees.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I'm gonna snip in a problem where that is important. So I recommend first finding angle J, then finding angle L, meaning the interior ones. J could actually refer to either one.
All right, so 180, so 132 minus 180 would be 48. So
Okay,
the interior one would be 48.
great.
And then if I just did the other way, so 112 minus 180 gives me 68
Okay.
for L.
Now,
And then
again, the three angles in a triangle, what do they add up to?
180.
180. So a little bit more work here, but you have to write 48 plus 2x plus 4 plus 68 equals 180.
Which would give us, would mean that the 2x plus 4 would be 64 in this case. Because 48 plus 68
Okay,
minus
I like
180.
I like where you're going with that, and that does work. That's a nice shortcut.
So that just, then I would have to solve it to find out what X is, right? In this
Yes,
case,
you need you to solve that for x. Yes, perfect.
2x plus 4 equals 64. So I would first subtract 4 from both sides, which gives me 2x equals 60. Then divide them both by 2, which gives me x equals 30. And then if I did 2 times 30, which would give me 60, 60 plus 4, that's
Just
64.
give me the x value. It sounds like you found x.
Oh, 30, x is 30,
30.
sorry.
Yeah, that's probably what it would ask you. It might, because you already know the angle 64, x is 64. Okay, really good. Just one more of those. This is kind of that final question where I don't give you any hints, but you have to just solve for x. It incorporates all the stuff we just did in the last couple of problems. It'll transition to some other stuff.
All right, so let me draw this out. Just to mark
Good
everything
idea.
down. So that means this would have to be 90 because it's 180. This is already 64. So 90 plus 64 minus 180 is 26. So this would be 26. So I'd have to do x plus 8 equals 26. And then I would do minus 8, 26 minus 8 is 18. X equals 18.
Very good. Any questions on that before we move on to something else?
I think I remember that pretty well.
Okay. All right, so more multiple choice. So this problem here is about whether the triangles are similar or not. And to decide that, you almost need to like rotate them, which is hard if they're on the screen. It's easier when it's on paper, but like you need to figure out like which side corresponds to the 4 and which side corresponds to the 7.5 in the other triangle. You can't just like, oh, that one. It's got to be okay. M to N is a path, like you go from the 90 out, the Y to Z is the corresponding one. So does 4 go to 8 the same as, for example, 7.5 go to 15? Does that work?
No.
What
Oh.
is 4 over 8 then?
4 over 8 is 0.5.
0.5. How about 7.5 over 15?
7.5 over 15. Oh, They are correct. They are similar.
So they're the same. So now another way students do is they say, well, to go from the smaller to the larger, what do? You multiply by 2. And does that work with the other one?
Yes.
It does. Okay. So now I want you to look at this other problem and decide if that works. And keep in mind, it has to work for all of them. You can't just say, oh, it works for one, I'm good. You got to try them all.
So we do. First thing I would want to do is 8 times 3 gives me 24. So that's similar. 5 times 3 is 15. And 6 times 3 is 18. So they are not corresponding.
These ones are not. Nope. They have to all work and these do not. All right. Good job. I don't want to make this too intense with the algebra, and that's where I'm struggling to find more questions because I don't want to, get all
Algebra.
weary. Yeah, because that it doesn't, from what I saw in that one question, it's not very algebra intense. Okay, here's a new question, kind of basic knowledge. So the largest side corresponds to the largest angle. And similarly, the smallest side corresponds to the smallest angle. And when I say side and angle, they're across from each other. So like 9 is across from F.
Gotcha.
Okay. So which is the largest angle? Largest angle here
G.
is G. What's the next largest angle?
F. F.
F and then H. Good. So similarly, you could do that with angles. I could give you something like this. 35 degrees, 65 degrees, and 80 degrees. A, B, C. Which is the largest segment, line segment?
C would be the largest.
Line segment. Line segments require
Oh,
2 letters.
CB.
CB is across from the 35.
Oh my God. Would it be CA?
DA
Or
is
sorry.
across from the 65.
I've now figured out. It's BA, sorry.
Yes, and we're practicing for the real test, so no big deal. What's the next largest?
Next largest would be AC
It is AC. And then the next largest?
is BC.
Yes. Those are the 2 types of problems that you might see. Okay, now a big formula. Are you getting a formula sheet?
I've no idea, to be honest. I
Okay.
meant to ask him today, but I was
Okay.
taking a test, so I forgot about it.
So one of the things you just could do is you could just bring one in and like hope for the best.
Mhm.
You could act like you didn't know you're using it. It's up to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask him about that. I'll ask him about that tomorrow.
Okay. So A, B, and C, this is a right triangle, okay? And we did some lessons on this. Now, sometimes they ask you to determine whether it is or is not a right triangle. Those are kind of nice test questions they seem to throw out every once in a while. So let me have you determine whether this is a right triangle or not. Oops. 10, 11, and 12.
So it's the rule for A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Would
Yep.
that be
Basically, you're holding, seeing if this holds or not.
so? Would A squared in this be 10 or would it be 20? I don't
So
remember the.
it's always good. Yeah. A is the smallest one. B is the next smallest, then C.
Okay. So it would be 10 squared plus 11 squared equals 20 squared. And let me actually put that in. So 10 squared is 100. 11 squared is 121. 20 squared is 400. And then I would subtract.
Well, no,
a
you're
hun-
just adding. You're just adding.
Oh, sorry.
Is 10 squared plus 11 squared equal to about 20 squared?
No.
No. Okay. Okay. Is this helping what we're doing? Because I don't want to go off too
Yeah,
far in a direction that we don't need to go. Okay.
it's a good
So here
refresher
is,
for a bunch of what
yeah,
I've
here,
forgotten.
well, it's still there. You just have to find the neural pathway to the short-term, long-term memory. All right, express each trigonometric ratio as a fraction for angle theta, where AC equals 13. So that's the hypotenuse. BC equals 12. So notice that you are missing little c here. Now, a squared plus b squared equals c squared is correct, but you have to remember that it refers to a triangle where a and b are the legs and c is the hypotenuse. C is not the hypotenuse in the problem. So sometimes it's better remembered as leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I'd like you to keep that in mind as you first solve for this missing leg.
So in this case, it would be the missing one would be a. In this case, would be a squared.
Sure, yeah,
So it would be a squared plus 12 squared equals 13 squared. And then in order to find a squared, I would I would first figure out what they are, right? Just so I'd have to figure out what they are squared. So 12 squared is 144. The a squared plus 144, and then 13 squared is 169. And then I would subtract 144 from both sides. Which gives me 25. And then I would square that to get
square
what,
root, square root, yes.
or sorry, square root.
Because if you square it, it gets a lot bigger, and then the numbers are completely
Which gives me 5. So a squared in this case would be 5, or a, I guess, would be 5.
okay.
So then, if we know a is 5, I can
Very
check
good.
and
So this is where it's another one of those like, do you have the formulas for the trigonometry formulas? So let me put the ones on screen that you will probably need. Might be good to have these, as on a reference sheet, but leave that to you. Ignorance can be an excuse. So here we go. This should help here. Sine, and in this case, theta is up here at the top. So what is opposite to the theta?
12,
Over the hypotenuse.
13.
Okay. So that
So
gets you down to, you can start crossing some out.
12 over 13. If I need the opposite over the hypotenuse, then cos is adjacent to the hypotenuse. Then tan is opposite over adjacent. So it'd be answer would be D.
Very good. All right. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, that's more recent in what we kind of done. It was only at like 2 units ago was the whole sin and
Okay.
tan and cos and all that stuff. So that's a bit more fresh in my head.
Okay. All right. So before you answer this question, which I'm going to put in the multiple choice, but I'd like you to first determine the diameter of the circle.
So
It's another right triangle, so it's the whole a
Oh,
squared b squared equals c squared.
so it'd be 4 squared plus 3 squared equals 7 squared in this case. So first I gotta find out what,
Wait, how did you come up with 7?
because 4
This
plus 7.
this this
Oh,
whole is unknown.
oh, sorry. Let me, 4 squared is 16 plus 3 squared, which is 9. 16 plus 9 is 25. And then I would just square root 25, which is 5. Sorry. So it's 5 squared is C.
You'll see. Now that's the diameter, right? And circumference is 2 pi r, or pi times diameter. All right, so let me put the answers here. See if you can give me the correct result here.
Pi. So it would just be B 5 pi.
Yes, good. Easy to get that wrong, even though you did everything right. So it's like I like seeing that. Let's see here. Here is another kind of right triangle problem for you to work on within a circle. So I'll give you that. All right, take a look at this, please.
All right. So this would be, it'd be 9 squared plus B squared equals 41 squared.
Okay.
So I would first need to find the actual numbers. So 9 squared is 81 plus B squared equals what's 41 squared, which is 1681. I would subtract 81 from both sides, which just gives me 1600. But if I square root that, gives me 40. So B squared equals 40. So it would be C in this case, would be X.
It is 40. Very good. Okay, so I feel like we've knocked that out. The next problems relate to the following idea, which is like if you pick a point anywhere outside of a circle and you draw a tangent and a tangent, these are always congruent. So tangents are congruent. Any questions about that before I give you a problem here to work on?
No.
Okay. All right, here we go.
All right, so tangents are always congruent. My next is so would that mean that, so if we know that HK is 16 and that they're by congruent, it means that all the lines are equal, correct? Or at least,
Well, it's that a tangent's current. So let's go back to this picture. Let's just say this is 10 and this is 10. If I make another congruence, like I'm like, okay, there, and let's just say these are 7, then that's 7.
okay,
It just means that from a point outside the circle, the two
okay.
tangents are congruent.
So would that mean that HM would also have to be 16 in this case?
H to which one?
To M.
No, no. So you're missing the point. Like ignore everything else but HJ and HN. What is
Uh,
HJ? It's
H HJ is 16
no, the
or 8.
whole,
Sorry,
it's
the
not
whole
eight,
is 16.
it's 11. H to J is 11. That's what there's something that
Uh,
hopefully you're going to see now will help you figure out the rest of
oh,
this.
now I see it. All right. So if HJ is 11, then that would mean, and the whole thing is 16.
Yes. So what is J to K?
J to K would be 5.
Okay, so what is the value of X?
X equals 5.
Yes. Now, what about, is it clear now? And like, this is 4, this is 5 as well.
Yeah, I get what it was trying to say. I kept looking at the 16 and thinking of radius.
Okay, and because this is, you can see this is not a difficult problem, but it's also a problem that's reasonable to put on a test because it's not really testing general knowledge. And that's a general knowledge type thing. So I got another problem here if you look at, it's kind of related to that. So take a look at this and see what you come up with.
So if I know that UT is 10, that means VU is also, is that supposed to be a question mark or is that supposed to be a 7 for VU?
This is a 7.
That's a 7, all right. Let's try to find X. Okay, so if I know that UT is 10. Hmm, Trying to figure this one out. Would that mean that, so if I'm trying to find PR, so I know that RS is 2 and that's PUW is 4. I'm trying to figure it out. I don't really get it, to be honest. I don't get what I'm supposed to do because
They want you to determine X, which is P to R. Can you
uh,
find, for example, P to Q?
P to Q it'd be RS, the same as RS, right? So it'd be
Nope,
2.
nope, nope. Q to R is the same as R to S.
Oh, okay. So then PQ would be 4.
Okay. What is Q to R?
Then Q to R is 6.
Q to R is 2.
Oh, sorry. I thought you
But
meant PR.
the whole thing,
It is
yeah, the whole thing
6.
is 6. Okay. So what is X?
So X is 6.
Good.
Okay, now I'm seeing it now.
Okay, let's look at some different problems here. The perimeter of a square whose area is 36. I would recommend drawing a square on your paper there and figuring out what two numbers multiply together to give you 36.
6 times 6 gives you
Okay, so and I
36.
would label all of, excuse me, label all the sides and add them up for the perimeter.
So if I just draw a square, label all the sides. So 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 is 24.
That is correct. Good. Okay. Trying to figure out where to go next. So there were, I feel like these are a little too specific, but we didn't find it recently. Grab another one of these. All right, find the measure of the numbered angle. They want you to find this angle right here, angle 1. The center's right there, roughly, center O. There is a formula for this. That's where I'm like, I don't know if this is too specific or not. You remember this? We did do this, I think, last few weeks. That all
I
look familiar?
It looks familiar. I just don't remember the formula.
That's where I'm worried. Like, do you need me to give you some of these formulas? Do you think that the specific thing would be on there? Like, where?
I feel like he'd probably give us a formula sheet. He has a habit of either giving us a formula sheet or a note card to write formulas down on.
Okay.
But for this one, have a distinct memory of doing it. I need
Okay,
to,
yeah, I'm happy to do the formula. I just don't want to like spend time on this if you're like, yep, we're not getting that. So it's M, big M, and X. X is little m plus big M divided by 2.
okay, so I would do. So I would do 100 plus 130. Divide that by 2 gives me 115. So X in this case would be 115. So the one,
Very good. Yep,
I,
really
yeah,
good.
starting to
And
remember this. It's probably gonna be on the thing. I'll ask him tomorrow. If we're gonna get a formula sheet or something like that.
when is your final?
My final is next week, I believe.
I thought mom thought it was tomorrow. Last we
It's either to, so it's really confusing how they wrote it out. They said for seniors, it's either gonna be Thursday or Friday.
okay.
So I need to talk to my person and be like, I don't know what to do. And
Yeah,
if,
I mean, if you can get it pushed, we can certainly meet and do another session or two as needed. Um,
yeah,
so there's another one of those formulas. It's an angle exterior to the circle, little m, big M, but this time it's x equals big M minus little m divided by 2. And obviously, once you have the formula, it's pretty simple. You just put the numbers in and go.
so
But
it's
my
just,
concern is what if you don't have the formulas? What are we gonna do?
yeah. So it'd be 40 would be the,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, all right.
Um, I'll also send my teacher an email tonight, see if he can get back to me before school tomorrow. If he's
Yeah,
providing us with the formula sheet.
hopefully he gets back to you before the school year's out.
Yeah.
All right. I had a couple more of these that I thought would be good. There we are. Okay. Um, again, like here's a problem that if you know the formula for the area of a trapezoid, you have it. The area of a trapezoid is base 1 plus base
Was
2
base
divided by
2
2
divided by 2.
times the
I
height. So bases are parallel. Base 1 down here, base 2 up here. There's the height.
so I would do 18 plus 13. I would divide that by 2 and then times it by 8, which gives me 124 meters cubed or
for,
squared.
yep, for area. Good. Okay. And again, kind of just another situation here where this is for a triangle. We've got a lot of volume, so you're going to have that, but general knowledge, right? General knowledge is we want you to be able to find the perimeter and area of a figure, perhaps a triangle like this. Would you give this a shot, please?
Yeah. So find the perimeter area. So I would do 1 to the nearest 10. So I would do 6.8 plus 5.4 plus 7 gives me 19.2 is the perimeter.
Okay, so you can see that gets you down to, well, it's handy. Got to keep going here. Find the area of the triangle.
And then the area is 7, would be 7 plus, or not 7 plus, it would be, oh, I gotta remember it. I just did this today.
Base times height divided by 2.
Ah, so it would do,
It's if you notice, it's got a lot of the similarities to a trapezoid. Trapezoid was base 1 plus base 2. Really similar, but I mean, you'll get an equation sheet. So your base here is the 7.
so
Your
7
times 5
divided by
divided by
2,
2.
which gives me 17.5.
Good,
So
really
B
good.
would be the answer.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and stop here for today.